Hello and welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday weekend now on this Football Tuesday. I'm Johnny Venerable, my co-host, Bo Brack, to my right. No Damon Dog. Extended holiday weekend for my guy. We got Shane Dieffenbach, the gambling degenerate, behind the mic today.
Hold on. I'm the gambling degenerate when your producer extraordinaire normally is in Vegas right now.
That's right.
We haven't heard from him. We may not.
Yeah.
I might be the full-time producer now.
First
Damon,
week, baby name.
Call home. We're worried about you.
Check in, young man. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Shop the number 18 collection. Bo, how was the holiday, my friend?
It went well. 3 days off. Enjoyed it. Fired up some meat on the grill. You know, it was fantastic. I know I wasn't the only one. We're going to get into that a little bit. Did you get your burger? Did you get your burger, Patty, my guy?
It was terrific. I loved every second of it.
Then after a nice, relaxing 3-day weekend with the fam, was out there roasting with the Arizona Cardinals at OTAs, watching Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., newly signed Darius Robinson, who inked his rookie deal today with his team option. Arizona Cardinals were out there in full effect. But there was a lot of love going on pre-practice and post-practice for a certain quarterback.
Yeah, you shot me a text message and you said Gannon in rare form, which is not the case, lauding Kyler Murray unprompted. Because, you had some other stuff you wanted to talk to JG about. Mm-hmm. And it's an extension of the conversation we had Friday. If you missed that show, I highly encourage everybody to check it out. On the heels of Bryce Butler just making an ass of himself on social media, Kyler Murray is having, I think, the most impactful offseason he's ever had career to date. And it's being viewed and lauded by his head coach, Jonathan Gannon. Yeah,
we've talked to a lot of people who are part of Kyler Murray's now inner circle, and it's been on display on social media quite a bit. From Will Hernandez last week, Yelda Froholt, Paris Johnson Jr. today, and James Conner today. And then JG, who's been in Kyler Murray's corner ever since he took over the reins of the Cardinals organization as its next head coach. There's a lot of belief in K1. And with that empowerment, you've seen this quarterback emboldened unlike he's ever been in his professional career. And he's paying it forward to the organization by putting in the hard work. I mean, we heard from Gannon and Connor, and people have had nothing but great things to say about it. That's their teammate, right? And it's in front of the camera, but I think it's all genuine. I think it's all authentic. And there's a stark difference between, how the national media talks about Kyler Murray and how the people close to him and his teammates and his coaches talk about him. And I tend to kind of lean on the side of the people who actually know the quarterback over those who are kind of hanging on to, as we talked to Mina Kimes a couple weeks ago, the quarterback that had, his worst performance of his career on one of the biggest stages of his career, a Monday Night Football playoff game.
Yeah, it's easy to pile on if you're not educated. And I'm just going to cling on to a narrative, right? That this guy doesn't work hard, that this guy is not truly about football. And listen, the Cardinals themselves paid a price for that. Like Michael Bidwell, I'm sure, regrets putting that clause into Kyler Murray's contract. Did more harm than good. Now you've got his ex-general manager, Steve Keim, kind of popping off at the mouth every time he goes on local and national media. So Kyler Murray, the only way he's going to continue to distinguish this narrative is by his play. And an extension of his play is his head coach. And again, we talked about it on Friday, but I think it bears repeating. The Arizona Cardinals at the time of week 9 last year had one win. They got destroyed by the Cleveland Browns. They were saddled with the first overall pick. They had beaten the Dallas Cowboys. The very next week, they brought Kyler Murray back week 10. They didn't have to do that. Mm-hmm. They could have just said, you know what, we're going to sit Kyler Murray. He's going to be healthy. We'll talk to his agent, Eric Burkhart. we're good. We're going to figure out something January, February, best for everybody. And we're going to draft Caleb Williams first overall. They did not do that, right? They sacrificed Clayton Tune. They traded Joshua Dobbs. Tune took one for the team against Myles Garrett and company. Remember that day? I remember it was week 9 at Cleveland, right? And the Browns were fantastic that day, and it was not a competitive game. And the very next week, Kyler Murray came back and beat the Atlanta Falcons at home. The Cardinals could have made a stance there, having seen plenty from Kyler Murray. Jonathan Gannon and Monty Osford had been around Kyler Murray at that time for almost a calendar year, certainly like 9+ months. And they'd seen him in practice. And said, no, we're going to risk the opportunity to draft Caleb Williams and instead say, we're going to give Kyler Murray every opportunity to win this job and re-solidify his place. And he did. Over 8 he showed them plenty. And that's why he's their quarterback now. They had an out clause. If they wanted it, they didn't use it.
Right. And it's paying off, right? Right. You're seeing the rewards of that as, putting him in to play half a season or just a little bit under half a season, 8 games from week 10 to week 18 for the Arizona Cardinals, 8 total for Kyler Murray. What it means now that he was able to acclimate to this new system under Drew Petzing, get the new footwork down, to get the rapport built with some of the receivers that were going to make, go from 2023's roster to 2024's roster, and to kind of get those reps in there, because you can't beat live reps, right? Especially at the NFL level with how fast the game speed is. And that Kyler Murray can get out there and now get into his first full offseason with his team and start to work on things instead of just having to, drink from a fire hose the information that he's receiving while trying to rehab the most significant injury that he's ever sustained in his sports playing career. Very decorated one, since he was a young man. I mean, the ACL injury was no doubt about it, the most significant one that he'd suffered, and he was coming back from it. And from that adversity that he faced, and in the previous season too, in 2022, probably as tough as a pro, I think that you were able, it molded an even stronger, tougher quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals going forward.
Colin Cowherd ranked his top QBs in the NFC, and he had Kyler Murray 4th behind Matt Stafford, Jordan Love, and Jared Goff. Didn't have Brock Purdy in his top 10, which was great in and of itself, but had Kyler Murray above Dak Prescott's of the world and Kirk Cousins, because it's about the ceiling at the end of the day. Kyler Murray's ceiling, I believe, has not been tapped into yet. We have not seen the best version of Kyler Murray. I think it was robbed from this fan base, robbed from Arizona, in part because of Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim, but also because of his injury, right? And so now we have an opportunity. The reset is over. Like last year, Kyler Murray goes out against Atlanta, attempts like 32, 33 passes, rushes the ball 6 times. Okay, I'm going to ease into this the second half of the year, and then I'm going to keep my momentum going. Right. Like we talked about at the end of the year, Kyler Murray was playing his best football win, not to start, but against Philadelphia and Seattle to end the year. I think Kyler Murray, behind closed doors, would tell you, I would have definitely wanted to keep playing with that team last year, because you would have seen the trajectory build. Like I mentioned, Jordan Love, he got better over the course of the season. Like I think we're going to be in a position right now where Kyler Murray, and I mentioned this, after we did our schedule release show, Kyler Murray is going to be in a position to do the Buffalo Bills, I think, what he did to the Tennessee Titans in 2021. I think we're going to see that version of Kyler Murray. Number one, because there's not a lot of tape out there with him in this Drew Petzing offense. This offense has a lot of upgrades, specifically at receiver, and I think they've gotten better at tackle. And listen, at the end of the day, Kyler Murray, as motivated as he is, his teammates are motivated. The coaching staff remain consistent. It's across the board, especially offensively. They're going to be able to double and triple down what worked, add in new wrinkles. Like you had mentioned, last year, he's around, but not really. Can't participate in everything.
Right.
They had Colt McCoy was their quarterback. He didn't even make it to the regular season. It's a stark contrast. And that's why I laugh at the fact that this team's over-under disrespectfully still sits at 6.5. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. It is pretty wild. The continuity that they have as far as the coaching staff and as far as the players, the core that they've been able to kind of identify over the last year. At this time last year, like it wasn't even Colt. I mean, Colt was, rehabbing from his own arm procedure that he had and, the wear and tear that he suffered the previous season. But he was coming back. But it was mostly the Clayton Tune, Jeff Driscoll, David Blau show at this time last year. I mean, the receivers that they even had in place, they weren't catching passes from anybody that they would see passes from outside of Clayton Tune in that one ill-fated game in Cleveland that you brought up, where he was just like, a poor piece of meat from Butcher Box thrown to the wolves, Myles Garrett and crew. It was brutal. But yeah, now you've got the pieces in place, and man, are they gearing up for, I think, a real huge rebound season. Yeah. Drop that like. Over 265 people in the chat. Excited to be here on a Football Tuesday. I see you, Ozzy. I see you, Mervin. I see you, Andy, Jack. I saw Jess in the chat as well. You're all out here hanging out. Ryan, what's going on? Talking about Kyler Murray. And like what you mentioned, like they kind of spurred this whole conversation on, was at the end of his availability today, Jonathan Gannon, sure, he's answering questions about, Paris Johnson Jr.'s transition and some players on defense and, how they're ramping up. The new stuff that came about, the NFL may be kind of changing how they do their off-season training and activity schedule. But, JG was asked about Kyler, and he kind of got on a roll, being very complimentary of his quarterback. Here's really what he had to say.
We had a good talk this morning. The guy's constantly thinking about ball, It's like I was being a dad a little bit this weekend, and it was like, what are you asking me? What play is that? But he's doing a good job. He had to go through a long recovery rehab process, so I think he feels better about where he's at right now. Obviously, getting all those reps from last week going into this week, he wants to practice every day, the guy, But it's cool. But he still has, he's got to go through what he's got to go through off the field to make sure that he's healthy and getting better and all those things. But just like James, whatever he needs to get done to make sure that he's the best version of himself for the team, that's what he's doing.
But does Jonathan Gannon have like a Casio watch? I just noticed that. Did you see that? Is that from like the 90s? Never mind.
I don't understand that reference. No.
You don't know what a Casio watch is?
No, I don't. What's a Casio watch?
It's just like a standard.
Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like a fossil watch. What kind of watch is that?
No, it's like an analog. It's less cool than a.
It
would be a fossil watch guy.
But I think it's kind of cool now. It's kind of like Asics and New Balance.
Okay.
Shoes.
Oh, I know what those are now. Yeah, I did do a quick Google search. Yeah.
But I mean, the guy's constantly thinking about ball, and I don't think that that's hyperbole, man. I mean, it's not hyperbole. Sorry how I butchered the word, but I mean, he wants to practice all the time. He's so damn competitive. That's all we hear from. Like I heard from JG today, Paris Johnson Jr. Who you're going to hear from, to James Conner, and like the number one overall theme, especially when they were talking about Kyler Murray, is how effing competitive this guy is. From whether he's in the batting cage and he's kind of sick of watching Paris Johnson Jr. go in there and F around because he's just a big old left tackle, has really not played baseball at all. And Kyler's trying to help him out. And then when he's like, all right, you can't, he's like, he wants to get back in there and get back on track. Like he's as competitive as anybody in the NFL. And Gannon, was asked today, has he ever had a quarterback or worked with a quarterback like that? And the names that he was throwing around with Kyler Murray, I have to put this up on our Twitter account because it just got lost in all the other information that we're getting today. But like, of course, Jalen Hurts, Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, guys who have made their own name in this league that are known as fiery competitors that didn't nearly get as much a bad a rap as Kyler Murray has.
I just ask yourself, like, to what benefits does it do for Jonathan Gannon to not be authentic? And he's authentic. Like, I think there was a narrative last year, like we talked about this before, when we were at Super Bowl week last year, and we would talk to James Conner and Zach Ertz, and they would talk up Kyler Murray, right? Which wasn't the trendy thing to do. What did everybody say? Well, they have to say that they play for the Cardinals, right? And then Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort. Oh, they're just high. How many PFT, Mike Florio fraud articles where the Cardinals are pubbing up Kyler Murray to trade him, right? That's everything. Right. Last offseason. He looks great. He's going to be a great addition to what we're doing here.
Like, it doesn't make business sense for them to play Kyler Murray. It's like, what business are you in? Like, what kind of assets are you working with? A
fraudulent bankrupt business of not being, in an NFL personnel building anymore. But like now it's like, They are either authentic or they're not. And that we've clearly taken them at face value because he has no reason other than to say what he believes. And he believes that Kyler Murray is poised for a monster career season. Like he's not putting that out there just to help himself. Like Jonathan Gannon, directly or indirectly, has tied his coaching career, I believe, to Kyler Murray. Like, at least this front half of his coaching career, and hopefully they're together for a decade and they win a bunch of Super Bowls, but like, they had an out clause, they didn't use it. So for him to sit up there and say these things unprompted, this is real genuine. And I also believe Gannon and Kyler Murray are kind of like kindred spirits, where they were both, I think, very disrespected and not treated with the kind of grace that you should have been given for what you accomplished in said market. Kyler Murray comes here, they go to the playoffs, people rip him. Jonathan Gannon takes the team to a Super Bowl, has a career season in Philadelphia with, all those ungrateful fans, and then they spur he and his family out of Philadelphia, right? He takes the head coaching job here. Just like there's relatability there for Gannon and Kyler Murray, that they have been at the top of their profession, respectfully, at coaching and playing quarterback, only to be torn down by people internally and externally. So I think I know there's a mutual respect between the two. They're killers. They were both supremely gifted athletes. Obviously, Kyler is the top 1%, being drafted in the top 10 in pro football and pro baseball. But I just think at the end of the day, they are so much more alike than we give them credit for. And I think that you cannot put a price on that. Who did Ken Wisenhunt want to be his quarterback? Kurt Warner, relatability. Bruce Arians with Carson Palmer, relatability. You have to have that to some degree, right? Yeah. You can't have this. I mean, Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury were not speaking during Cliff's last year in Arizona. Yeah. I mean, there's such a stark difference in the communication at hand within the Arizona Cardinal franchise that in and of itself, like at the end of the day, you think Will Levis and whomever the hell the Titans hired as their head coach, you think that's vibing great, right? I mean, there's a reason why Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan are working, because they're one and the same. Yeah. And I really do think it doesn't matter what side of the ball Gannon coaches, they are so similar, and the Cardinals are going to benefit from that.
It was such a toxic dynamic. It made no sense. Like, here you had Keim and Cliff, who had hitched their wagon to Kyler Murray. Like, all their success was from Kyler Murray's success in his early career, got him extensions. And then like all the mudslinging that went on when Kyler Murray just was going to be paid. He was next up to be the next quarterback extended. All that trash talk, all that stuff that played out in the public arena. You can kind of only figure out where it came from, because it certainly stopped once, especially one of those guys exited the organization. But to see, like, Gannon was a multi-sport guy, just like Kyler Murray back in his high school days before he went on to Louisville before his hip injury. Basketball player, loves golf. He said that's probably the only thing that he's got maybe an edge on Kyler in as far as on the golf course, but give him 6 months, he said. And, Kyler's probably competing with him. I mean, and you have to appreciate that the entire current iteration of the Arizona Cardinals, like this roster, everybody's competitive. Everybody wants to just get out there and compete. Like, outside of Kelvin Beachum, like, everybody's showing up for voluntary workouts. Everybody's shown up for voluntary OTAs, and they're ready to kind of start competing right now, carving out their roles, carving out their roster spots. Like, they're not going to relinquish any opportunity or give anybody any chance to take their spot. I mean, look at the offensive line. I mean, you've got Will Hernandez, who I think is firmly in place for right guard. He's out there. You got, of course, Paris, who's making the transition from right tackle to left tackle. But then you got Evan Brown, who's ingratiating himself with his new teammates. I think Dennis Gardeck called him a SpongeBob looking dude, just because he's just a kind of a fire hydrant out there. And then you've got like Yellow Froholt, in the crew, like, they're all out there. They're all putting in the work, because I don't think any of them like feel like they can give up an inch because of how competitive top to bottom this roster is.
There's a stark difference between this year and last year. And they were cutting guys that were, if you ask people last year, Isaiah Simmons and DeAndre Hopkins were two of the top 10 players they had on the team. And that spoke to the team itself and the lack of premium talent. Both guys were basically cut before the start of the regular season. Simmons was traded for a tuna fish sandwich. He was out before the season started, and then D-Hop was a cap casualty, but they were comfortable with that. Now it's a little bit different. Now it's like, okay, yes, if you're a veteran and you've been paid specifically by the prior regime, you got to fight for every inch. And these guys have made it through the first year. Like, we're going to hear from Dennis Gardeck later in the show. Like, he's a guy, as much as I've tried to replace him 20 different times, it's clear. Make him available to the media. He's a rotational player. They love what they see from Dennis Gardeck. Good for him, right? I would say certainly the same thing as you mentioned. Will Hernandez comes back in, gets a nice 2-year deal, was a Keim guy originally, like James Conner. These are the kind of players where you sift through the colander a little bit, and at the end of the day, there's some good stuff from that prior regime. But now, okay, those are the icing. What's the cake made out of? And the cake is really going to be these last 2 drafts. How quickly can Ossenfort and Gannon get these last 2 drafts up to speed? And while I think that this draft this year, of course, has a chance to kickstart hopefully a prolonged period of success, we talked about this off air, Bo. The word out of OTAs, what you see every day behind the scenes that we're hearing, the second-year guys from last year's class, specifically Paris, Garrett Williams, and Michael Wilson, are I think, poised for a monster jump in production and namesake around the NFL.
Yeah.
Like you hear what's being said about Michael Wilson right now, friend of the program. Like it is somebody. I got a text message, my buddy Seth Cox from Revenge of the Birds, and it was the tweet about T. Higgins and Jamar Chase holding out. Right? It's like, wouldn't it be a nice problem to have if this was Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. in a couple of years? Because it would, all the good that would mean happening with both of those players. Like, think about if Michael Wilson ascends to that T. Higgins kind of level. I think we're closely approaching that for the Arizona Cardinals.
I get James Conner vibes from Michael Wilson. Like, it's the same thing where can he stay healthy, right? And can he keep himself on the field? He's very self-aware of what his biggest obstacle is in being successful at this level, and it's health. He wasn't able to do it at Stanford. He wasn't able to make it through his rookie season without enduring a couple injuries right around his shoulder and neck area. But when we talked to him on draft night, like he was very aware of. He told you when you were asking about what kind of duo him and Marvin Harrison Jr. can be. He's like, if I get the full 17. I feel like I can reach any number you throw at me right now. And you love the confidence. And what I see from him in OTAs in the open, portion is he's out there catching balls on the side with Kyler Murray. Like that rapport, like when we talk about things that can maybe hinder Marvin Harrison Jr. from hitting some pretty crazy numbers in his rookie season, it's like, yeah, Trey McBride's in that, their emphasis on the run game. And then Michael Wilson in a true breakout in his second season can also maybe slow down Marvin Harrison Jr. Just having all those mouths to feed. It's a good problem to have. You want to see something gross, though? You want to see something gross, Shane?
I guess.
Sure. We put it up. You talked about Colin Cowherd's top NFC quarterbacks. What is Pro Football Focus doing? This is per our guy, Trevor Sycamore. We got to hit up Trev and be like, what the hell is this? Here's your top 10 NFC quarterbacks. Dak Prescott 1, Matthew Stafford 2, Jalen Hurts 3, Jordan Love 4, Brock Purdy 5, Kirk Cousins and his bum leg 6, Jared Goff 7, Kyler Murray 8, Geno Smith 9, and then Caleb Williams at 10. That just leaves off 6 NFC quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks off this list. But top 10, Kyler, he's at 8. You said he was on 4, Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, he was only behind Stafford, Jordan Love, and Goff. He was ahead of Hurts, Dak, and of course Purdy.
Calling it the same thing as Chris Sims. When we talked to Chris Sims at the Super Bowl, I mean, it sounded at that time, that he was making a hot take, but it's around the league. You talk to people, knowers of ball, they see the arm talent, and Kyler Murray has far more arm talent than Jalen Hurts.
Not even close. I mean, it's like that scene from Talladega Nights. I don't even know what to do with my hands. People don't know what to do with Kyler Murray. Like, he was injured, then he came back and he played pretty well. And I don't know what this offense is. And do they want to run the football? How are the new receivers going to do? And what is Zay Jones? I mean, I think we're going to know a month in. Like, we're going to have a definitive sample size of, oh yeah, we're a quarter of the way into the season. This is what Kyler Murray is again. And again, like I've been on the record. You've been on the record. If he plays all season, this team is going to the playoffs. He is making the Pro Bowl. And who else can you say that about? What other quarterbacks can you say? That's always been the consistent narrative around K1 on this program. If he plays the majority of games, this team is going to go to the postseason. He will have 30-plus touchdowns. So if he wants to put that out, if people's list is predicated on an asterisk saying, I don't know if Kyler Murray can play 17 games. I'm not going to argue that as one of the biggest Kyler Murray stains there is. But if it's okay, if all things are equal and he's healthy and he's ready to go, and you put him one-on-one up against somebody like Dak Prescott, who he's beaten, who lost to Joshua Dobbs last year, I'm going to take Kyler Murray. I'm going to take him over somebody like Jordan Love, and I like Jordan Love. So it really just, Brock Purdy is not one iota close to Kyler Murray on a talent level, and I believe this year on a football playing level. I think Kyler Murray's going to have a better year than Brock Purdy. So to me, just at the end of the day, with this team, if you tell me, if we fast forward to January and Kyler Murray plays 16 out of 17 games, I know what kind of season you are. I know it before it even happens because I know the caliber of the player he is. It's all about health with K1. And if anybody wants to argue that he is not a franchise quarterback because of that, then you have 100% sincerity and right to do that because he has to do it.
I mean, getting back to like the regimes and the expectations for Kyler Murray, especially like Cliff and Keim hitching their wagon to Kyler and not giving, like, pretty much having him go out there and play hero ball.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you go find a way, you know, and they really never knew how to build around him, where Gannon knew, like, he knows you could have the most talented quarterback. The best way to kind of raise the level of play is to surround him with the pieces necessary, with the infrastructure necessary as far as coaching staff, the play calling, right, and the scheme, and then of course the roster. And they are so light years ahead of where the previous staff was, where the previous regime was, and it seems so simple watching it being done right by Monty Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon, but he is poised, like you said, if he's in the lineup for the bulk of the season. I mean, we were looking at some of the best single seasons in Arizona Cardinals history over on late last week. Kyler Murray's 2020 season, where he's putting up 36 total touchdowns. He's got, 37 total touchdowns. He's got 26 passing and 11 rushing. He's probably not going to find double digits on the ground. It's because he's at a different stage in his career. But you add a couple of those, throwing touchdowns, he's up over 30 easy.
It's all about health. It has nothing to do with ability. And again, I think Kyler Murray, as you mentioned, when push comes to shove, I think he's going to have the most lauded, impactful, statistical season in Cardinal quarterback franchise history by the time he retires. I think he's going to beat Carson Palmer's touchdown passes singularly in a season, and then obviously collectively what he and Warner did. Why can't he do that? Like you mentioned, those numbers, they're pretty modest for Arizona Cardinal quarterbacks. If you told me at the end of the year that Kyler Murray broke every Cardinal quarterback passing record by the end of this year, would not surprise me. Again, this is not Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, peak Drew Brees. It's Kyler Murray in this offense. I'm sorry, could throw 40 touchdowns. I know people don't want to believe that. I 100% believe that can happen. And again, you can wager on things like that with our friends at BetMGM with the first bet offer, $1,500. If you missed out this weekend on a chance, by the way, to dabble in the Grand Slam jackpot promotion, well, good news for you. It's every single weekend through the MLB season, every Saturday, Sunday, and even Friday. Again, place a mere $10 bet on a player to hit a home run every weekend. If said player hits a grand slam, you're going to win up to $50K in daily prizes, or share that prize with any other winning bettor. Or if you're like, I'm not a baseball guy and I just want to dabble with BetMGM and I want free monies in the form of bonus bets, we're going to hook you up there too. Super easy to get started. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on your iOS or Android, or visit our friends at BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 in your newly created BetMGM Sportsbook account. And let's say you want to dabble in the NBA Finals that are upcoming, and you like the Celtics in Game 1, money line over, of course, the Dallas Mavericks. Well, if your bet hits, you get the winnings. If not, you're going to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. But you got to use BetMGM, and you got to use the bonus code PHNX to get those sweet, sweet bonus bets. Now, check out the show notes for full details. And wow, what a privilege. Listen to Shane Dieffenbach, producer today, talk about it in the disclaimer.
Bonus bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Bonus bets expire in 7 days.
You calling the end of the season for the Mavs tonight? Or, I mean, I'm sorry, the T-Wolves?
Yeah, that's
You're
over.
fast forwarding to the finals.
The Western and Eastern Conference Finals can we just be real? Have been a joke. They've been unwatchable.
Awful.
Terrible.
So sad.
A big dumpster.
I was so upset yesterday. If this game goes the way everyone thinks tonight, there's going to be no NBA basketball until June 6th.
It's wild. It is strange to think like as far as like, do you care if the T-Wolves like rip off 2 in a row? I mean, it's inevitable that they're done. Like at that point, you're just like, okay,
end it.
Let's just get to the next series.
More basketball.
More hoops.
More hoops.
Meaningless basketball? Okay, G League. Let me ask you this. Was it a mistake? Yeah, you're G League. Do you guys believe the narrative that the Suns should have added Kyrie Irving and not Kevin Durant after this series? Shane? I've heard that floated around the Twitter streets.
It's gross. That's a gross place to be spending your time.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Not a gross place to be in front of a grill this holiday weekend. I know that. Yeah, you were there. You posted on social media. I mean, I don't know. Getting back to gross Twitter streets, you put firing off that picture. What you had on? Where was that? Like a community grill? Was this at a park somewhere? Where was this?
That's my grill that I put together. I didn't, and I paid for.
They are touching.
You know what really bothered me? I posted this picture because I got thrown shade last week. Voted a ButcherBox ad. He added what my meat of choice was going to be on Memorial Day weekend. I did not lie. I said it was going to be hamburgers and hot dogs. I got made fun of by he and Damon. Then I post this to show like I was a man of my word. I'm very truthful. And then I got people like our friend Brian in the chat, or maybe my frenemy now, saying, "Oh, those are for babies. That's a baby burger." What kind of portions are you people eating? That I need a piece of meat that fills up my entire grill. These are regular sized portions. Okay, friends. How about
you having a burger with your baba? What's going on here?
Those hot dogs are for babies.
You're never going to get a small portion of meat from our friends over at ButcherBox. They would never do you wrong like that. No burgers for babies with ButcherBox. They make boxes of meat for men. For men. M-A-N. They like to throw their meat and torch it on the fire. It's unbelievable what they're doing over at ButcherBox. You can curate your own box. You got to check it out right now. Save some money while doing it. Go to butcherbox.com/PHNX. You're going to find high quality meat and seafood you can trust. It's not just about man-sized burgers. It's also about great seafood. It's about grass-fed, free-range orange chicken, organic chicken. I'm thinking about some delicious orange chicken, though. How about pork raised crate-free and wild-caught seafood? It's humanely raised. No antibiotics, no added hormones. It's unbelievable. It's so convenient. You're not going to spend and waste any time at the grocery store, overspend there. Go tailor fit your selection of meat and poultry and seafood to what you want and have it delivered right to your doorstep. Shipping always free, right there. ButcherBox offering our listeners, our viewers, this amazing offer. ButcherBox.com/PHNX for $20 off your first box and free meat. And use that code PHNX at checkout to receive that exclusive offer today before supplies run out.
People are calling my portions little boy portions. They're saying Johnny Happy Meal, kids meal Johnny. Again, those are regular, normal, human-sized portions. Guys, step away from the trough. Okay, I had a hamburger and a hot dog.
Ruthless.
The chat today. I just can't. Can I just?
Honey, I shrunk the meat.
Johnny, did you indeed use a shrink ray on your meat? Come on,
anytime
man.
I just try. That's why I'll never put myself out there on social media because people are vicious. They're just looking for every opportunity.
Look, grill Twitter, man. That's why I would never post anything from my grill on social media. Grill Twitter is too ruthless.
It's elitist.
It is
Very elitist.
Yeah. It was very bold of you. Tip the cap to you, Johnny, for posting that.
Thank you. I'm a man of my word. Now show me some GD Marvin Harrison Jr. highlights right now.
Yeah, let's take a look at Sweet Baby Marv out there on Arizona. Well, this is Darius Robinson. Just taking out that dummy. I was talking about Michael Wilson just playing a little catch with Kyler Murray. Zaven Collins working on popping a football out there. There's a BJ Ojulari in the number 9 jersey. Little James Conner catching a ball from Kyler Murray. You're also going to see Trey Benson pop out. This is the first glimpse I saw of Benson because he was out at that rookie, whatever the NFLPA rookie deal was last week. Here's Marvin just warming up, just getting the legs limber. Here's a little Paris Johnson Jr. He's going to drive this sled and then he's going to hit somebody. You like to see that, playing the left tackle position. And here's Marv catching a couple balls. I believe this is from just one of his coaches. You'll see one from K1 here in just a bit.
It's great to have real players now. And then like we watch these highlights and it's like, I couldn't tell you who were in these highlights last year. And now it's like, there's Monty Ossenfort. You'll see him quite a bit kind of peppered into these highlights, but he's got to be pumped to see all these moves that he's made over the last 2 years out on the grass, making some plays. Here's what we're waiting for. K1, little MHJ action. The first of many. It just gets you fired up. Why can't the season start tomorrow? This team last year, we talk about it, projected by Vegas to win 0 games. I mean, it wasn't their over-under, but they were favored in 0 games.
Yeah.
People said they were going to be the worst team in NFL history. They won 4 games, and they won 3 of those with Kyler Murray down the stretch. And it's pretty wild. Like, I love our guy Pat at NBC Sports Roto World. He's a friend of this show, and really, really nice to PHNX Sports, and he's a good guy on Twitter. But he had Monty Ossenfort ranked like 25th in his GM rankings. But he also made a caveat to say like Kyler Murray plays well, like this team could go to the postseason. I feel like that everybody's using that kind of as an out, like, hey, the Cardinals could be really bad, or they could be a playoff team. And those to me are the best kind of off seasons where it's like, you're still not getting your due. You can play the disrespect card, but people understand and recognize, specifically at the quarterback position, oh, this is a guy who could take over games. This is a guy that can help us get to where we want to be. And they're very much, in my opinion, on the trajectory of the Detroit Lions 2 years ago, where they had the initiation culture year, and then they took off from there.
I don't understand that 25th overall for Monty. That's
behind Ron Carthon too. It's bad.
That makes me want to puke in my mouth.
Yeah, Patrick Doherty, who's great. He's fantastic, but his list stunk. It was a bad list. I wasn't going to
Ran Carthon? Has Ran Carthon made one good move as a general manager?
The only
does Ran Carthon have a viral video of him just owning other GMs, maneuvering the draft board in his first draft in 2023, and then adding a 12-player draft class this year that was, universally beloved?
The only GMs that Ossenfort is ahead of that are not new GMs are the Broncos' George Patton, and then the Jaguars' Trent Baalke, which is kind of a joke.
He's ahead of the guy that broke wind on the podium, a guy that ripped ass and acknowledged it. Trent Baalke. Like, who? Name me a couple. So Ran Carthon. Ran
Carthon's directly in front of him. Joe Sheehan, or Shine, whatever.
The Giants?
The Giants GM, 23. Ryan Poles is at 22. Everybody's slobbering all over Poles. Terry Fontenot, the Falcons.
Oh boy!
Is there a pause?
James,
can you clean it up, please?
Sorry about that. Terry Fontenot, the Falcons, who butchered the draft this year and took a 24-year-old rookie after signing Kirk Cousins to $1 billion. He's 21. Joe Douglas at 20 is asking to be fired.
Dude, this is the worst. This is the worst list I've ever heard. Who's in the top 10? Who's in the top 10? I'm not saying Ossenfort deserves to be in the top 10. He's a top 20 GM already.
John Schneider, 10. Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones combo at 9.
Okay, Schneider deserves to be in top 10. What he's been able to do in Seattle for so long.
Brian Gutekunst, Packers, 8. Brandon Beane, 7. I think the Bills are kind of low key trash as a roster. That's a reach. Brad Holmes, 6. He's done a good job.
Yeah.
Eric DeCosta, Ravens, 5. Les Snead, 4. Howie Roseman, 3. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, 2, and then number 1, Brett Veach of the Chiefs. So Cardinals are competing with 3 executive administrative staffs that are in the top 10. So what else is new?
That is horrendous. Just under ranking of
I think
but that's just you're not paying attention. Ran Carthon
has done a horrendous job. He's done really bad. He's not like all the players that they mentioned were like free agents that he signed. No draft outside of like Tajay Spears.
Overpaid Calvin Ridley. He's like, oh, Good job, man. Way to go. You gave $90 million to Calvin Ridley when nobody else would. Only
Animal
the Patriots,
TV saying you have to
bottom
win
feeders.
games. I think it's you got to win games. You got to have young players that pop off. I agree with that. But I also think just at the end of the day, like, can we acknowledge and recognize like Paris Johnson, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Michael Wilson? Like they have guys who are on the cusp of stardom in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know, hey, Kyler Murray or not, like this team's gotten much better, and they could not have been in the
Rand
worst.
Carthon, Will Levis, and Peter Skoronski. I mean, there hasn't. I mean, I like Tajay Spears, but that's not enough to put him. I mean, what is he? What name? Any roster maneuver that he's made that best Monty Ossenfort? Name one.
Couldn't tell you.
It's bad.
Other than the Titans won more games than Ossenfort's Cardinals last year.
Okay.
So maybe that's what they're judging it off of. Let's get some of these super chats. Then we'll talk a little more OTAs. Jason, $2. Y'all ready for another great show? I am hashtag PHNX. Thank you so much, Jason.
What was
we
the
got
official time on that? When did Jason clock in?
8:26 a.m.
Wow. Nice job, Jason. So Jason, early bird today over our guy Cardi D in their competition to be first in the super chats. Congratulations, Jason. You caught our guy Cardi D sleeping off the holiday weekend, but I'm sure Cardi D will come back strong.
Can we also say very humbling all the messages we got yesterday when we didn't do a show and people were asking where the show was. So thank you for that. Jason's back, $5 again. With time to compose himself, we could be hoisting the Lombardi, and people would still find reasons to trash K1. Absolutely. I hope the Birds fly under the radar all season and keep receipts. Well, they have one nationally televised game, and it's on ESPN Plus, so I think there's a good chance they are under the radar, even if they're winning. So,
keeping it going with these super chats. How about Trenton Smith checking in $4.99 super chat? Thank you, Trenton. Really hope Darius Robinson isn't the next Mark. I really hope Darius Robinson isn't the next Marcus Golden. Thoughts? I thought Junkyard Dog had a pretty good Cardinals career. In which way do you not want him to be Marcus Golden? Just how he was kind of inconsistent, like because it was like one good year and
You
then
might be talking about a different Marcus Golden, the one that's spelled with a C.
no, I would probably say that the success that Marcus had probably was too short-lived for maybe Trenton. Like he didn't get an extension. Then Keim let him go to the Giants, and they brought him back. I think Darius Robinson is like, it's Pittsburgh Steelers defensive end, not Cam Jordan, but
Cam Hayward.
Cam Hayward. Thank you, producer Shane. That's who he reminds me of, like a Cameron Hayward, who, by the way, has been in Pittsburgh for like a decade. I think he's closer to not a Calais-esque kind of player, but he's going to play defensive tackle somewhere. As Marcus was a true edge rusher from the start.
Yeah, he was kind of pin your ears back and get after the passer.
Yeah.
Cardi D, $2. Still just hyped for the Miami takeover. Hashtag Bird Gang. You got the palm tree emoji. And then is that a seashell emoji as well? Very nice. Nice
Got emoji. I'm going to be throwing it in a circle in Miami.
You're going to what? You're going to eat a seashell?
No, I'm going to throw it in a circle.
Oh, okay.
Not familiar with that term. Illa Dre, $4.99. Kyler had no talent and beat playoff teams. Now he has talent. Come on, do the math, Kyler. My haters. I don't know if this is the most talented team he's played with, but it's certainly the most competent, football competent. This continues to be the best coaching staff he's ever had, Illa Dre. So I echo that. You don't go in a division with 3 potential Hall of Fame head coaches and you're repping a failed college coach and get that coach to the postseason by accident. Like Kyler Murray, if it's going to be a damn shame, and I hope this doesn't happen, obviously, if he is not able to return to the postseason and get his time for retribution to rewrite this narrative, because I think so much of what Kyler had coming into this league was robbed based off of organizational incompetence. Like we mentioned Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love. Don't get it twisted. A big part of their success was the stability of those franchises they went to. Like Kyler Murray went to the opposite of that, right? It's, who people have used this analogy before. Who's a trust fund kid and who's a kid that comes from a broken home that is able to exceed expectations and get, a 4-year degree from a major university. Like that's, in my opinion, it's probably not the best analogy. That's Kyler Murray. He went to an organization where the general manager and the head coach and the defensive coordinator were at times major liabilities to the team's success. And he had overcome that. And his owner did not help him at times. There are organizations where you're lockstead eye to eye with everybody in those roles. That's never even a question. But the Cardinals had the opposite, and that impacted Kyler.
HTL hit the like. How about this Saint shitbag jumping in 199? JG and Monty equals shitbag mafia approved.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like it, Mr. Saint.
Is JV a part of the shitbag mafia?
I think so.
That'd be an honor.
499 Merv. I will gladly give you grill master lessons anytime, JV. Yeah, Merv quote tweeted me and was throwing out steak on his grill. As a graduate of the American Pitmaster class, people got to appreciate the grill more often. Can you just be casual about your grill skills? Like if you're somebody like me, it's just like I want to just go out there and just I'm going to use it when it's necessary. It's not a big part of my life. I have other hobbies. I have other interests. But when I need to make basic routine pieces of meat on a grill, I can accomplish those feats.
Yeah. You take your baby meats, throw in your easy bake oven, and next thing you know, you got yourself a nice simple
head to the park, head to the pavilion, and get out the coals. You are the worst.
I gotta check out Merv's grilling skills for sure. JV, you are good on the grill. Look at our guy Ozzy coming to your defense.
Okay, Shane. Somebody asked me, am I preparing for the 9-9 in 9 directly and indirectly? Yes, I am. We have producer Shane Dieffenbach on the program today. I don't think I've gotten your official confirmation. What do you believe Bo and I could do in the 9-9 and 9?
Well, do I think you can finish it?
I want you to tell me the over-under for Bo and I individually our numbers for the 9-9 and 9.
I feel like, can I say this first, Shane? I feel like the 9-9-9, it's become like the MLB no-hitter. I feel like it's a long list now. It's not as prestigious as it once was since we started talking about it.
But you can compare it to that, but you can also compare it to like a marathon. Like a lot of people run a marathon. It's still really impressive.
Okay.
And MLB hitter, no hitter is really hard, but it's still impressive. So don't get yourself down.
All right.
I would strive for greatness, and greatness is completing the 9-9-9 challenge. Johnny, there's no shot you're finishing it.
What's my number then?
I think you get 5 beers and 3 dogs down, and then it's puke time. And then that's in 9 innings. Bo, I have a little bit more hope for, but he's not finishing either.
I guarantee I finished the 9-9-9.
Wow.
What?
I will throw 100% guarantee on
I think I'd go one further, and I would eat 10 dogs.
Whoa.
And 9
overachiever.
Beers. Yep.
I've been to events that the NFL has put on with Shane, and I've seen him consume many great feats of food.
I'm
culinary excellence.
I'm 6'4", 230. Like I'm a large human being. I eat like that.
Nothing wrong with that. I love that about you. I don't think there's a chance in hell Bo completes it. No chance. I think Shane could do it. Bo, I love you like a brother. You know that. There's no way you're doing it.
Why? Where do you think I would struggle?
I mean, like 10. You could eat 9 hot dogs in one sitting. I don't think you could do that
in a 2.5-hour game.
Yeah.
The hot dogs, the 9 hot dogs, where you get caught, where like stuff starts getting bad, is the bun. The bun will get you. But like the 9 dogs, the 9 ballpark dogs, especially the chase dogs, super small, easy.
Well, that's what we'd be doing.
It's like a 3-biter, sometimes a 2-biter.
I just feel like with 2 halves of an inning, you just got time to get it done.
Yeah. What about Damon? What do you think Damon could do? Shane?
He wouldn't do much better than you.
I think I've been so disrespected, and I'm going to overperform. It's like
I would love that.
Under deliver, overperform. I think
Johnny, there's nothing more I would love than that.
Yeah, that's happening.
I'm rooting for you.
And now Bo has put himself in a corner where he has to complete it. Or
I will though.
Come on, you're just acting like it's a big. You're like, oh, so many people can do it. It's like a no hitter. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I was like on social media this weekend, and I came across like on my Instagram stories somebody completed, and it was like really, it's like really that person did it. Oh, I got this is easy.
I love this too. Some shady friend of the program. I'm taking the under for Bo and the over for Johnny. Thank you. I think that's going to become popular with the friends at BetMGM. You're going to be able to dabble on that.
They have some fun like game props for it. Johnny to have a tummy ache is at plus 180. Or sorry, minus 180. Jeez.
Yeah. I would have been all over that.
Damon to puke before the 7th inning stretch is plus 110. I think there's a really good value there.
What about me to fall asleep? Minus
They
500.
completely scrubbed that from the books. There was too much money one way, and they've taken it off.
All right, we gotta get back to OTAs. Before we do, though, I'm going to tell you about our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. I got to spend some money on some dogs and some brewskis, and I'm going to do so keeping my financial acumen tight and where it needs to be with my friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union of PHNX Sports, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Venerable household. That's because for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that folks make lives better. Again, upgrade, updates, secure your financial goals and dreams with the pristine staff, with their financial solutions to, again, help real people like you and me, again, level up our financial acumen. And again, if you've got a checking account and you're like, I'm good there, what about a savings account? What about a mortgage, loans, credit cards? They've got investment options and more. Plus, if you're an Arizona sports fan, there's no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial Credit Union. Rep the Red Sea with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. I do. You should too. Again, show your team spirit. Open up a free checking account online. Takes a matter of minutes. Debit cards in the mail a couple days after the fact, but you got to get to desertfinancial.com. You got to use PHNX. Got to tell them we sent you /Cardinals to get started.
Made multiple stops over the 3-day weekend to America's Thirst Shop. Our friend Circle K started the weekend off by gassing up my ride, saved some money at the pump by just being a member of the Inner Circle. I save 5 cents per gallon now. I've reached that echelon, a very special boy with the Circle K Inner Circle membership. It's free. Did I mention that? All you have to do is download and sign up in the new app. You'll get that save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. So you're saving at the pump as much as you possibly can right off the bat, and then 3 cents per gallon every day. And then you reach 5 cent status once you reach a certain amount of money spent at the pump for the year. But then, of course, thirst this summer has met its match. As you can see on our, if you're watching on YouTube, any size Polar Pop or Froster, just 79 cents this summer. Check that out. That's the best deal going on right now. You can find Circle K, many great offers in the Inner Circle app. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details.
I put a poll in the chat.
Yeah.
So go ahead and vote in that, and we'll read that at the end of the show.
What's the poll? Can Johnny eat 9 or 8?
No,
Is that the poll?
it's out of you three, Johnny, Bo, and Damon, who finishes the 999 challenge first.
You're not off to a good start here, Johnny. But
I don't like that
you're very self-aware. You're very
that's called a
self-aware.
loaded poll. That's not a favored poll.
Would you ever give yourself a chance of actually finishing the 999?
No.
Man.
And I feel like if I train for that, I'm 5'6". On a good day, I'm sub 160 pounds. Because I'm not a competitive eater, I would ask a lot of my fellow 5'6" brethren out there who could do that challenge, right? And if I began to train for that challenge in the way that the chat expects me to, my head would be so bloated you would not be able to fit me in the screen to do this show every day. So I'm building myself up to over deliver, but to do 9, 9, and 9. If the 9 hot dogs easily would just destroy me.
Damon just has the chat under a spell or something. They're big on. They're convinced the dog can finish it.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
They're Damon dogs, right?
I mean, that's fair.
Kobayashi, the famed hot dog eater, was only 5'8", so your height thing sucks. Like that.
Well, he's a competitive eater, though. There's only so many people that can do that.
But to say your frame is good.
Johnny did. To be fair, Johnny did say I'm 5'6" and on a good day and not a competitive eater.
Okay.
So
all right.
Sorry, I've chosen a different path in life than to guzzle glizzies on the nation. What is it? The Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna go. The 4 of us are going. I think Shane does it relatively.
If you're
easily.
wasting a vote, if you're
Johnny's
I get to
already saying now. I thought I had to bring you beer. I thought I had to bring you beer, James.
Yeah, well, you're still doing that. I will be standing, I think, a good portion of it. I can't sit down. Then I will fall asleep. All right, so let's talk more about what happened at OTAs today, where they surely were not talking about our 999 challenge, but instead kind of some of the future of this team, critical juncture right now. James Conner took to the mic today. By the way, looks fantastic. And some of the comments he made, we're not going to get to all of them on the show, But man, if you want to check out our Twitter, PHNX_Cardinals, his comments get you fired up to be a Cardinal fan. He is the antithesis of what you want the Arizona Cardinals to be. And yeah, talked a little bit about his future with the team, Bo.
Yeah, he did. I asked him about, obviously he's playing in the final year of that 3-year, $20+ million contract that he signed. And, how special it would be to potentially finish his career in the desert. This was his answer.
It'd be awesome to finish my career here, but no, nothing changes. If anything, it's time to turn it up even more. Going into my last year in the deal. So, yeah, thankful that got the chance to see the last year of it. So I'm gonna go into it, give everything I got this year, and we'll see what happens next year. Hopefully stay, but I understand the business.
It's really going to be an interesting situation to follow because he has such a huge role in this organization. He took over a leadership role with the mass exodus of players from the previous regime, the retirement of J.J. Watt, and when Kyler Murray was on the mend, as he mentioned, like at this point last year, he was rehabbing and he really couldn't do much. He was limited as far as NFL rules, how much he could kind of, work with his teammates, mostly just all weight room stuff that Kyler Murray was allowed to do. But, James Conner's been there from the jump, and, Jonathan Gannon's basically called him the blueprint, said if he had his 8-year-old, kid out there, he would point to James Conner to shadow, to kind of show, that young child, like how to be a pro, how to conduct yourself just in general.
If they make the postseason this year, and James is a big part of that, I think he's the number 2 free agent signing in franchise history behind Kurt Warner. I think Bertrand Berry gets the slight edge right now because they went to a Super Bowl. He was their dominant pass rusher. I think James Conner has a chance to solidify it. I mean, he's the best free agent runner that they've ever signed, and I think he's going to set himself in a position like, do they put him in the Ring of Honor one day? I think that might be a little extreme, but what he did last year, what he overcame, and how productive he has been since he came to the Cardinals, despite coaching changes, scheme changes, philosophy changes. Like, I don't know. Like we talked about on 2 weeks ago, like I think there's a better chance James Conner's on this team than Budda Baker next year. As crazy as that sounds, where I think James could say, hey, I'm going to finish my career in Arizona. They're going to pay me, $6-7 million, and I'm going to platoon with Trey Benson. Like that would not shock me. Right. And whereas Budda Baker is making 18-19 million this year, it's tougher to make those numbers work or close to it next year. So I would hate at this point, like James has become so ingratiated in this community, such a fan favorite. I would hate to see James Conner leave. And I hope, as he mentioned, I hope it's the floor now for what he did last year, because I think, unlike a lot of guys, I think his game actually ages pretty well. He's not overly dependent on speed. He was not the bell cow for a long time in Pittsburgh. He's missed some time, and that's why they drafted Trey Benson. But again, I think there's still a lot of meat on the bone for James to be a productive runner in the NFL.
It would be devastating to the Trey Benson dynasty owners out there who are in full force. Okay. But yeah, I mean, as far as what's the best option for the Arizona Cardinals is to have maybe that committee move on. And if what you're going to hear from James Conner is the truth, when he was asked about his 1,000-yard season, he could be in a position to be similar to like not Saquon, maybe Derrick Henry, who hit 30 years old and hit the free agent market and still had, perceived to have, some left in the tank. James certainly believes that. Here's his comments on his 1,000-yard season last year.
That was the floor. That's what me and Coach AD talk about. That's the floor. I want that to be the lowest I rush for, in my career going forward. So definitely got a lot of work to put in, but that's the floor, not the ceiling.
It's got to get you pretty hyped up. Here, James Conner says 1,000-yard season in 14 games last year was the floor, and he wants it to be the floor going forward for the rest of his career.
I mean, he carried the ball 200 times and averaged 5 yards a carry. I don't know what more can you do. And
I think he led the league in yards after contact too. I think he was up there as far as top explosive runs in the league. The offensive line was very aware. I think it was Paris that was saying like James was able to do all of that, and he was making contact, very early in every rush attempt. It felt like last year, and if they get a better, if those guys are more well set up to be successful in blocking for him in the run game, like, man, look out.
Well, how many times did we watch the Cardinals this year, and James was averaging like 2 yards per carry at half, and then he would explode in the second half?
Yeah.
And that's the antithesis of what the Cardinals offense is and why I love it so much now as opposed to Cliff Kingsbury. It's a grinded out offensive mentality where, like, against Seattle, he had started relatively slow, right? And it kind of built up in the second quarter. In the third quarter, breaks off another, big run. And then we mentioned the Pittsburgh game, right? He takes off in the second half, beats his former team. That's the best part about the Cardinals now is they don't peak early. They have a game plan. They don't get away from it. I was watching the Philadelphia game over the weekend again. Cardinals were down 21-6 in that game. They threw a pick six. It's boring, but it's part of my life. And the Cardinals, what? They stuck to their run game, and they ran it all over Philadelphia despite being down 15 with James Conner and Michael Carter. Like they do not, even with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., they will not get away from that.
Right.
And that's what's going to keep those careers prolonged. That's what's going to keep Kyler Murray upright. So again, like James Conner in a contract year at 29 years old, guess what? It's going to have a big season. And I love Trey Benson. I've been watching his highlights, and I'm fired up.
James loves him.
Right. He's going to be a great compliment long term. But this is James' backfield still. James Conner's not going away.
No, he's not. Who else isn't going away is Paris Johnson Jr., the Cardinals' new franchise left tackle. When he was asked about when he found out he was going to be the Cardinals left tackle, it was the most relaxed answer, most informal thing I'd ever heard for somebody to take over such a premium position in the NFL. Here's Paris Johnson Jr. breaking it down.
I got a text one day. He said, "Hey, you play left?" I was like, "Yeah." I've been training both. I asked after the season. They're like, "Honestly, we'll talk to you some point in the season." And I just got a text and like, depending what happens with the free agency. Then, so I was like, you know what? I had a whole season at right tackle. So if I get the word I'm staying at right tackle, I'll just do what I did before and build on that. But so I was like, I might as well train the left tackle now as if I'm going to be a left tackle. And I'd rather do that than train on right tackle and get the call, "Hey, you're the left tackle." I'm like, ooh, I didn't even switch my feet yet. You know what I mean? So I'm like, let me just prepare in advance. I was like, yeah, let's go,
Why does Paris Johnson Jr. look like an edge rusher in that deal? Why does Paris Johnson Jr.
He's just a massive human, man, and he looks spry out there. He just looks great. He was, as he mentioned, he said it several times in his availability today, he was going to prepare to play both. And then somebody within the organization was just like, "Hey, man, play left?" It's like, "Yeah, cool. All right, let's do it." You ever hit up one of your boys and you're like, "Hey, you play left tackle?" And he fires back, "Yeah."
Happened this weekend. Multiple times. We had it sourced on this show. And listen, I can take an L on this show, as people know. We had it sourced in February that they wanted to keep him a right tackle. That was the plan, right? That they were going to draft a left tackle in the top 10, and they were going to sign a big name guard. Like, that was the initial plan. Like, we had a pretty well sourced that they were telling people around the organization, we got to get a left tackle. And then they signed Jonah Williams, who had played left tackle before. Sounded like he wanted to remain at left tackle. I'm like, okay. And then something changed over the course of the next 4 to 6 weeks before the draft. It's like, okay, we know we're going to get Marv now. Yeah. We know we probably aren't going to get a tackle at 27. And so we have this ripcord, break glass in case of emergency. It's not really an emergency, but it's like, oh, we have this gift where this kid was phenomenal right tackle, didn't miss a snap, played left tackle at Ohio State. And a lot of people, including our own Brian Baldinger, feels like that's where his best position is. We're just going to move him over. Yeah. So I do full-heartedly believe that the initial plan was to keep him at right tackle, be the next Penei Sewell, Lane Johnson, and find a left tackle. And I think Marvin becoming available, they were going to take Joe Alt if Marvin wasn't there. Guess what position Joe Alt would have played for the Cardinals? Left tackle. That didn't happen. Thankfully.
Yeah. But piecing them together, the press conference and some of his answers where Paris Johnson Jr. was saying, like, at the end of last season, obviously they saw the writing on the wall for DJ Humphries, and he's very respectful when he's talking about DJ Humphries and everything that he's done for him. They remained close, even though, Hump was released. He was a cap casualty because he wasn't going to be available this season. He was going to be one of the highest cap hits for the Cardinals. But, Paris had made it known that he would love to move over to the left side and start his transition to become the Cardinals, franchise tackle and protector of Kyler Murray's blind side. But in that clip in particular, he said, they said, barring what happens in free agency. And I still think they got one of the better tackles in free agency in Jonah Williams, but they just decided that they wanted to kind of expedite this move over. And it made it sound like the DJ thing completely sped up the timeline. Like, as you've said, like DJ Humphries was going to be on this team going forward. He was going to stay at left tackle, and then he's lost for the year next season. And they're just like, all right, well, we're going to just start this process now. And Paris Johnson Jr. is going to be our guy going forward. And it just, with thinking about it and utilizing hindsight and seeing how it's already starting to pay off for the Cardinals, it just seems like it's the right move. He's the right guy for that position going forward.
Was there anybody you trust more protecting Kyler Murray's blind side on the team? I mean, I don't. And they're going to be starting a new left guard, whether it's a rookie or a veteran. That person has not played on this team before. Evan Brown or Isaiah Adams, like they're going to have a new face at left guard. You need continuity. And, I think Jonah Williams is going to be fine. I think he's got every opportunity to really help himself. He's on a 2-year deal that could expand further than that, right? They may not have to take a tackle again. Christian Jones can be a swing tackle. Now, let me ask you this. Kelvin Beachum's not there. This is voluntary.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you read into that? Anything? Is Kelvin Beachum the swing tackle when the season starts, or is it the 5th rounder out of Texas, in your opinion?
I mean, Christian Jones is going to get an opportunity. I don't know. I don't know if there's much to make out of it. Him not being here and missing voluntary. I mean, we'll see what happens once mandatory rolls around 2 weeks. We'll see if Kelvin Beachum is a participant next week. He hasn't been so far during voluntary. So, with just kind of how things have gone and seeing players that are held over from the previous coaching staff and front office, I don't think that there's any questioning of what Kelvin provides as far as on the field. I think he's a great swing tackle guy, great locker room guy, great mentor to these young players. But at the same time, like, there's true competition already in the locker room. I don't know if you want to kind of give them any more of an opening to come for your spot. But
is there another tackle that would make you feel better about moving on from Kelvin Beachum outside of Christian Jones? Can Tristan Colon play tackle? Like, is there anybody else that can play
more
tackle?
Inside? I think those guys are more inside.
All right, so they only have really 3 quality tackles of note if Beachum's not around. Anybody else, you think?
I mean, maybe that's his job security. Maybe that's just what he's relying on in the final year of the 2-year deal that he signed. I mean, mostly everybody that they've added, I don't think it's like a Dennis Daly. I mean, talk to Titans fans. They hated Dennis Daly at the tackle position. Is it like a Carter O'Donnell? I'm just going down the list here. Is it Austin Pleasance? Is it somebody that nobody's really kind of checked in on? And Jackson Barton's like, if those guys were going to have a true opportunity, I think they would have received it before this.
I think you bring Beach into camp and you just see how he compares to what you have. I'm not ready to completely cut ties with him. They don't need to, unless he started last couple games of the year and the Cardinals offensively were productive.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want him starting the season. You don't want him starting prolonged stretches. But like Joshua Dobbs, like, he can come in and help you when necessary. So I think there's a benefit to having him on the roster. Animal TV saying Beach has got 1 more year at swing. Yeah. And then if Christian Jones becomes that guy, great. And if not, go get somebody else. But I mean, they've got, we emphasize this, and I'll continue to do so. They've got, I think, what could potentially be the best tackle they've had since Lomas Brown, since the early 90s, like physically gifted. Humphries had some really good peak years, and I think he made the most of where he was drafted. He's a Pro Bowler or Pro Bowl alternate. Like, Paris Johnson Jr. is in a different category, in my opinion. Like, you could convince me that we sit here this time next year, he's a top 3 to 5 tackle in the NFL. Like, would not surprise me. And he fits so much of what they want to be now, which is all about football and team. He competed at the highest level and dominated Ohio State, and it's seamlessly translated to the NFL. It's like, give me more of that. Can we just every year take a player like that? And I think they did twice in the first round this year.
Yeah, he acknowledged it was weird that he's never been a captain in his career, not at the high school level, not at the collegiate level. he said he transferred high schools his senior season, and like the coaching staff was like, it'd be weird if we gave it you year one. And he's like, okay, I'll just go out and be, the best tackle in my class. And
have you seen those highlights, by the way? There's some of the greatest highlights in the history of high school football.
He's moving guys. They were playing edge that were my size.
I had my hand in the dirt and I was thrown into the stands. It's like The Blind Side. I know that gets thrown around a lot. Go look up Paris Johnson Jr.'s high school highlights. He's a captain this year. He's a captain this year for sure.
There's and that's awesome. I mean, to be able to do it at the highest level in just his second season, but it's a true testament to how he's just kind of taken ownership of being the new, Arizona Cardinals caliber of player. It's awesome to see that that's the type of person and player they're bringing into this organization. Not only like super talented, blue chip talent, but also off the field, really, really incredible person. Close to 500 people here in the chat. Hit that like button here, PHNX Cardinals. Also, I got to tell everybody about our trip down to Miami this upcoming season. Huge game against the Miami Dolphins, an AFC East opponent here. October 25th through 28th. We got your tickets set up for the 27th. That's game day. We're also going to get you round trip airfare. You're going to get, obviously, transportation to and from the airport as well. We got your accommodations, your hotel set up. Beautiful location. It's gorgeous, Johnny. You're going to be hanging out there and getting the full Miami treatment while you're going to check out your Redbirds, hopefully in a pivotal showdown against a non-conference rival.
Everybody keeps telling me I'm pale and white, and so I'm going to get gross and tan in Hollywood Beach with everybody else. Packages start at just $12.99. Deposits are fully refundable until the 30th, later this week. And again, they have payment plans for 4 months leading up to the season. So if you can't pay it all at once, no problem. We want to see you guys there. I already got reached out by a couple people saying they're signing up. They've already signed up. This is the event of the NFL season. We told leadership here at PHNX Sports, Mr. Saul Bookman said, we want to go to Miami. We want to go to Hollywood Beach. We want a place on the water. What do we need to do to make it happen? He said, we're going to hook up with True Fan Travel, the elite, the premier travel source when it comes to just taking care of everything. Like I'm all about when I go on trips and vacations, like I want my travel taken care of, my flights, my transportation, my tickets, and then I want it built out. So it's just, I'm not sitting around the hotel waiting for things to do. We're going to have an alumni meet and greet. We're going to have an inclusive tailgate party. We're going to have a booze cruise, right? There are a ton of things that we're going to continue to add to this robust agenda. And again, if you're part of this community, if you can make it, if you can swing it, you're not going to find anything cheaper. I task everybody right now. If you're interested in going and watching the Cardinals play the Dolphins, try to book it yourself, get a total, and then bring it back to what TrueFanTravel.com has and the amount of money that you're going to be saving. We always talk about bundling saves. That's what this is all about. We wanted to make sure we went with the best to save you, in fact, money. Check them out, TrueFanTravel.com. We'll put the link in the description in the show notes. We want to see you, Hollywood Beach, Miami Stadium, this fall. Kyler Murray taking on Tua. It's going to be a fantastic event. Cannot wait to see you there.
We can't wait to see everybody there. It's going to be the best event I think we've done with PHNX.
We had a similar thing when we went to Nashville for the NHL draft last year. Had a booze cruise there too on the river.
Man.
Unbelievable experience. You have to come out to these. They're so much fun. Plus, as I said, I'm going to throw it in a circle, and you're not going to want to miss that on the booze cruise.
All right.
So is Johnny.
Give me the greatest time of my life.
Throw it in a circle as well.
Have you chosen your the road jersey you're going to be wearing?
I might just wear the number 18 collection. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the right move. You know me. I mean, I'm more wear the T-shirt over the jersey.
I do know you, sadly. I do know you. Maserati Marv, MHJ, the Math Tee, they're all available right now. Guess what? They're shipping next week. Get them now. Get them hot. We're told they're shipping next week. The PHNX merchandise locker is where you want to get them. Pick up a free shirt right now. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Then go back into the locker. You're going to get the rest of the shirts for 20% off because you are a diehard. I'm diehard for this collection right now. I can't wait to rep it every single game day this fall and beyond. I saw some other, let's just say, certain number 18 paraphernalia over the weekend, and I can just say mid.com.
That's being generous. That is very generous. Like, it was terrible. It's not great. It was the least creative. It's like, hey, let's just slap letters on a T-shirt and call it good. Hey,
You can't get a number 18 jersey yet.
mm-mm.
Sadly, we've been checking, we've been refreshing, but you can get this collection right now, shipping
your son.
again imminently. Yeah, and also myself.
You said you and your son and his grandfather, right? They were ready to spring into action, head out to the team
he's
shop.
here. They're ready. It's like
Yeah.
they're by the bat phone. The red bat phone. They're waiting for the team store to open up their doors.
Yeah.
Say we're pumping out number 18 jerseys. And I don't know why that hasn't happened yet. It seems like a missed opportunity over Memorial Day weekend. But our guy Mike Fraud Florio wrote an article saying if you haven't checked, you still can't buy an MHJ jersey. So we're waiting like everybody else.
What was his tinfoil hat?
No, stupid, dumb stuff, suits and whatever. It's good.
If you've noticed, there's no MHJ jerseys. Does he secretly hate the Cardinals organization?
Does he want to hold out even though he signed his rookie contract? Should he not? Should he refuse to go to the Cardinals? No, actually, he loves it here, and his dad loves it here, and they're welcome here. Unlike you, Mike Fraud. Mr. Shitbag is back. $4.99 super chat. JV and Bo Brock are full-fledged members of our Arizona chapter of the Shitbag Mafia. Thank you so much.
That's an honor.
It is. I feel like we should make a speech. Ghost of Pat Tilly, $10 super chat. A guarantee. Thank you, Ghost. If Bo fails, he wears Kevin Cobb's jersey to the Dolphins game. Over under JV 3 innings.
I like that. That's look. If I will put it on the line. If I fail the 999 challenge, I will sport a jersey to an event.
Can I ask this clarification question? Is puking and then coming back and continuing allowed?
If you puke and rally, I think that's applauded.
I think we'll allow it in this variation of it.
That would make it even better.
Yeah.
What a story that would be.
So ending the poll at the end of the show, Bo has 50% of the votes.
Oh, gross.
Damon with 34, Johnny with 14%.
You're in the
Those
team.
14%. I love you. I salute you. I know that's Ozzy. I know that's Sports Hero. I know that's Richard. I appreciate you all.
I appreciate all 50% of you out there realizing
Shut your mouth.
Who could really get it done.
I love 100% of you, chat.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's gonna be we're gonna pick the grossest Diamondback game to go to. We think White Sox, right?
White Sox or Angels. Is Trout out yet? Yeah, I mean, Angels without Trout. That is a terrible matchup.
He's hot.
If Sports Hero saying 14% sympathy vote. I need all the sympathy I can get. Listen, it's like the Cardinals not being on national TV. We're not going to sweat it. I'm not going to sweat the 14%. We're just going to go out.
The fact that you don't even say, like, you won't even lie and say, yeah, I could do it. I mean, what's the point? Why even show up?
Okay, bro. I'm showing up for the betterment of the pod and this community.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for showing up and putting in this half-ass effort, like uninspired. Like, I just want to, have fun and make sure nobody gets hurt.
I never say any of those things.
Play to win.
Number one, I want you to fail. That's what I'm getting a close and personal seat for. I want Bo to fail and fall on his face, and then I want to just slowly, methodically, casually take care of business, and I'm not going to put a number on it.
It's going to be the 7th inning, and you're going to say, holy shit, he's actually going to do it. He's only got two more dogs, 2 more beers. This guy's a machine.
I can't stand the smugness right now. And Shane, do you believe Bo could do it? You think there's a part of you that believes that Bo can do it?
A little bit.
You guys were road dogs with me in Indy. Like, my plate was clean every time we went out to eat.
Yeah, but there's a difference between cleaning plate and overachieving. Like a lot of people can clean plate. Like, do your job, sure.
Johnny can't.
Yeah, well, Johnny's part of the 14%.
Unprompted. I can't wait. I can't wait to leave this show. This show today. You know what? Listen,
this was the worst show ever. Like I said, it was.
Roll the credits here because I come on this show and I'm positive and I say, I'll take the shade in the chat. I'm gonna handle my business and I'm gonna overachieve. And then Bo's like, yeah, look at Johnny, loser. He's a big loser, and he can't eat a baby hot dog. Somehow my hot dogs are going to be compared to Bo's and Damon's, and they're going to somehow I swindled little weenies in there to eat. Somebody, what do you call it? Appetizer weenies. YouTube users saying I can take a nap in the 7th inning. I appreciate that. Mine will not be based on finishing it per inning, though.
That's sad.
What do you mean sad?
You don't sign up for the 999 challenge and say, I can't. It's a win if I get the mark of the beast 666.
Let me ask you this. So somebody in the chat earlier, Shane, said that if we do this challenge, we're going to be waiting in line the whole time of the game. Is that true?
No, you will. The beers will be a little more difficult, but you get all 9 dogs before. Yeah, you might have a cold dog at the end. But that's fine. You're good. Or what you could do is you go 3 at a time. You'll be fine.
Okay. I like 3 at a time.
Yeah. Well, actually, don't concessions close at the 7th inning?
For beers, yeah.
Yeah, you got to rip your last 3 before then for sure.
We will begin to find which game we're going to, and we will give updates that night, live updates in video form only to the PHNX Cardinals faithful in the Discord. The member Discord will get it first. Then when we do a recap on the next day's show, and again, we're going to start scoping out locations and on game day, and we've ingratiated Shane Dieffenbach here, one of my favorites, to be able to participate and also go on beer runs. Thank you, Shane.
That's going to do it for us. The conversation continues in the exclusive member Discord, as Johnny alluded to. Thank you to everybody for their super chats. Great to be back after a long holiday weekend. We got more show for you tomorrow, the rest of the week. Make sure you subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube, PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Johnny Venerable. Follow me, Bo Brock, and our guy Shane Deef on X as well. We'll talk to you barring any breaking news tomorrow, 4:30, right here, PHNX Sports.
We all silly like the mayor.